Rizzy Moves, you and I, we have watched VCT honestly from the inception. From what's the thing that the 100 Thieves won at the end? Those the tournament, First Strike, and then all of those, even those those little Red Bull tournaments at the very beginning that was hosted by like FaZe and like
the FaZe Invitational.
Yeah, the FaZe Invitationals. And for the most part, there's one team that always came out on top, who was dueling with TSM, but TSM has been on the downfall. We got our Sentinels, and for the first time in Sentinels or any Valorant history, Sentinels will not be making it to the LAN event. What are your thoughts?
First of all, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
literally.
I want to start off, I guess, on a bright note.
Oh,
knowing that it's so much harder to stay on top than it is to get to the top. Because once you're on top, you have the target on your back. So if there's one thing to really applaud the Sentinels for, is their consistency to remain at the top.
Totally.
But in order to stay at the top, you need to be criticized at the very top. I.e. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant,
I was about to say, yeah, even in regular sports, like the GOATs are like, no matter how great you are, you will always get your shit rocked. But yes, continue.
But that's how you stay at the top. And first and foremost, because we're speaking about superstars, every single traditional sports has their number one go-to guy. And of course, on the Sentinels, the number one guy is the guy that everyone heckin' loves.
Oh yes.
I know, you're a 100 Thieves fan, but you probably heckin' love him too. I heckin' love him.
Yo, everyone would heckin' love him on his team too. Even the players heckin' love him.
Even the players heckin' love him. Tarek, even after yesterday, they went on pubs with V1 Julsz. Even the guard Trent heckin' loves this guy. But Tens, there's one thing that he has been harped on, especially since his CS:GO days, and that is his inconsistency.
Yeah.
He has, I guess, that J.R. Smith. I don't want to say it because
that's a terrible comparison in terms of skill, but
in terms of skill, it's a terrible comparison. But you get it, right? The 2K badge, the microwave.
Yeah, that's
exactly what Tens is. But he gets like super hot. But when he's off, he is absolutely stone cold freaking brick. And that is something that really hurts the Sentinels. It's what makes him Tens, unfortunately. You take the good with the bad. He's kind of like a wild card. Sometimes he makes these really godly cracked plays. But with those godly cracked plays comes those really head scratching moments. And there's one play in particular that I would like to highlight. It's map 2 on Ascent, one of the biggest swing rounds in the game, where Sentinels could have actually made it a 2-0 over V1. They take the site cleanly on B. They clear everything out. They close the door, but instead of Tens following his team onto site, he instead decides to take control of market. And from then on, it's just been terrible for the map. I mean, he gets KO knifed, so he can't dash after missing the initial op shot. Then he gets flashed. Then he gets triple peeked by all three members of V1.
I had no chance.
And then at the same play, we have Sick going for a flank, but they know that information is there. I think this is just a credit to V1 and their
those guys insane retakes. Yeah, I think I mean, I'm just gonna gas up them really quick, but you can use this as like a deterrence to Sentinels. But there's a difference between Sentinels and a team like V1 that we saw yesterday. Sentinels, they're all individually so skilled, but like they need direction, as opposed to V1. Anyone can go off, Julsz will probably go off with a KO one time, or Xander will do some crazy Omen ace play. It's like that. They're, as a team, their cohesion is amazing and their teamwork is amazing, as opposed to Sentinels, where it's just one guy can go off and then they're just gonna feed off that one guy.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because if you go pound for pound 5v5 with just raw aim and raw mechanical skill, I'm taking Sentinels over every single team. But this isn't Counter-Strike, or this isn't or even Call of Duty, if you will, just pure aiming or pure gunplay. This game requires more thought-provoking abilities in order for you to have your team in the best position to win. And kind of build off of that, the reason why Tens can sometimes be inconsistent is the team doesn't really base their utility. They don't set them up. If you watch that map 1 on Haven, the reason why Tens went 27-6, I believe it was.
Yeah, something like that.
It's because they based their utility around Tens' play. What they were doing was they were throwing flashes into A main from Sick. They were throwing knives. They were making sure that Tens was set up to dash, get the kill, and get out.
Yeah.
And then someone was there to follow up for the trade. That's something that has been completely missing, and that's the reason why they won map 1. It's not because of Tens, it's because the whole team they based the play around him. Like, they set him up. They made sure that the utility was there. And my last point is the fact that there's, like you mentioned, actually, the lack of cohesion. The overall lack of cohesion of this team is actually unbelievable. For 5 guys who have won an international LAN tournament and are not where they are supposed to be right now because of their status, it's a little bit concerning. Like, the exact play that I want to highlight is on A main map 3 Fracture. I think this was 9-10 or 9-9. Xander smokes himself out 2v1. He lives a little bit of a crack, so that way they don't see him in the smoke, which was
so 5-head. That's insane. I don't know how you can.
Xander,
that's oh my god. Anyways,
so smart. But we were talking about this exact play before the recording. You kind of highlighted it. One player should be pushing the smoke.
Yeah.
The other one laying back in A main
and
should
just trying to spam. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Instead, it was just out of whack, you know?
Yeah, and oh, sorry. You can finish your point. Go ahead.
No, I was just getting. Yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm almost done here. But it's just the fact that on a 2v1, you don't have your 2 best players, kind of not 2 best players, but your 2 players alive that are not there together.
Yeah, they're not in sync. I think that's what you're trying to go to.
Yeah, it's a little bit disheartening, and when they lost that round, you can tell the morale completely dropped. And this was off of the back of a Shazam 3v1 clutch. They should have had that
was a sick
round.
Play, Bill, but
I think it leads to your point as well as to why the Sentinels aren't really where they should be right now.
I'm gonna build up to the point. So the Sentinels have made it this far without a coach, without technically like someone on the back end kind of watching over everything happening. They've made it this far throughout Valorant North America without a coach, but that's because the game of Valorant was still kind of growing. So obviously people still don't know how to strat, or people don't know how to execute or do this and do that. But now, like, we're like 1 or 2 years into this game now, and without that leader, someone overlooking, from the sidelines, being able to criticize you as like from a leader standpoint, that's what they're kind of missing right now. And obviously we got, Sean Garris waiting in the wings, quote unquote, in the shadows. First of all, being dropped by League of Legends. I'm not League of Legends, from Riot Games to be able to cast their games. Unfortunately, he's definitely one of the GOATs. They need someone overlooking them. I mean, they tried it with FaZe Raucus, but I mean, obviously that didn't work out. But if it were to be Sean Garris, he's definitely what they need. Someone just to overlook them in a timeout. He would be the words of wisdom, not Shazam, who's already in the heat of the moment, trying to, tell him to do this, and this. At least Sean Garris would be like, a breath of fresh air, coming in like 6 rounds later and be like, hey guys, I've been seeing you guys do this. How about you guys try this instead or this instead? So,
and you know what? You kind of reminded me of a point where the lack of strategies and all that stuff.
Yeah.
If you remember back in the Sentinels Demon days, Dapper was like the original Nats. This guy had the best timings on the flanks. Now I think they got into their heads a little bit where they don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
They think that Dapper will always be lurking, but Tarek and Boaster actually made a good point.
Sure.
If you see 2 Sentinels coming into the site, that's their execution.
Yeah. Again, there's no coach, so it's kind of hard to strat with a coach that, like, they're gonna try to make a what is it called, an audible type of play instead. They're kind of becoming more and more predictable just because of how far they've been dominant. And I don't know, it's tough to see greatness fall like so drastically.